Too great in the last era. It's gonna be big.
What does it do to your two legacies?
Sometimes people talk shit a lot, and when they stay in the ring, they do nothing.
You know, a win against Canelo Alvarez put me, you know, on Mount Rushmore.
Sparks flew as Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford came face-to-face in a fiery, unmissable clash during an explosive interview with Piers Morgan. Although the full interview between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez has yet to drop, the trailer alone has already stirred up plenty of buzz. The preview promises a fiery exchange, with both fighters throwing verbal jabs as tensions rise. Adding to the intensity, Piers Morgan looks to be fanning the flames, spicing things up, and setting the stage.
Too great in the last era. It's gonna be big.
What does it do to your two legacies?
Sometimes people talk shit a lot, and when they stay in the ring, they do nothing.
You know, a win against Canelo Alvarez put me, you know, on Mount Rushmore.
He's significantly bigger than anyone you fought before, and he's one of the all-time greats. You're not going to feel apprehensive when you get in that ring against him?
Fear? No.
I will for you, and I'm not even you.
That's cool.
But can you accept he's better than you at anything or not?
No, because he ain't proven it yet.
We're gonna find out September 13th. That's why we are here.
Building on the growing hype, Joe Rogan shared his excitement for the clash. Rogan pointed out that with Saudi backing, the fight is bound to turn into a massive spectacle, thanks to the serious money being put behind it. When it came to picking a winner, Rogan made it clear he's leaning toward Crawford, confident in what the undefeated star brings to the table.
When you look at the elite of the elite boxers, to a man, to every one of them, they're disciplined. Yeah. And they stay focused. I'm so excited to see this fight with Canelo Alvarez because I think the Saudi Arabians have so much money. They're throwing so much money at boxing. And the guy who's the head of boxing over there wants to make that fight happen. I think Terence Crawford, forget about the three-weight classes. I think he could beat Canelo.
I think he can too.
I hope he's big enough to keep that dude off him because Canelo hits so hard, man.
That's one dude that, like, I believe all the shit he be talking.
Crawford? Yeah. Oh, he's good.
He don't just be saying shit.
They tried to say that like Errol Spence was damaged because of what Crawford did to him because he was damaged from the car accident. I'm like, maybe. Or maybe Crawford would have done that 3 years ago. I think he's that good. He's just so skillful. He's so slick. And when he gets, and he's also the best guy in the sport at switch hitting. He'll go from southpaw to orthodox and be just as good and trip you up.
Expanding on his thoughts, Rogan gave his take on just how punishing the action could get inside the ring. He described what it might feel like to take a punch from Canelo, emphasizing that if Alvarez hits you on the liver, it's an instant shutdown.
Show Canelo Alvarez body shots. Like maybe there's a video we could look. He's got a beautiful one where he steps in and just rips that left to the liver and your body just goes deep. It just shuts down. It's the weirdest feeling, man. It's like your legs stop working, everything stops working. Your whole body just seizes up.
It looks like. At the same time, Rogan took a moment to praise Terence Crawford's fighting style, highlighting the sheer mastery Crawford brings into the ring. He pointed out how Crawford's deep understanding of boxing sets him apart, always knowing where to position himself and anticipating what's coming next. For Rogan, Crawford isn't just a fighter, he's an artist.
Like you think he's gonna start southpaw, he starts orthodox. You prepare for orthodox, he's fighting southpaw. He feels like he's got you timed better orthodox, he'll switch it up. You know,
super accurate.
Oh, like just knows so much about boxing, about where to be and what's coming, and
he's a strategist that's also entertaining.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He's an artist.
Like remember like a young B-Hop.
Yeah,
it was like just so sharp and made it look almost entertaining. You know what I mean?
Roy Jones in his prime. It was art. You were watching art. He's piecing up people. It was an art.
Meanwhile, a clip of Canelo Alvarez recently went viral, showing the Mexican star riding bikes and pulling off wheelies with ease. What caught fans' attention wasn't just his carefree attitude, but the shirt he sported, boldly displaying the words "Easy Money, Baby." The message came off as a subtle dig at Terence Crawford, with Canelo implying that a fight with the undefeated American would be nothing more than a straightforward payday.
¿Sí? ¿Ya? ¿No?
Reacting to Canelo's antics, Showbiz shared his thoughts on the viral videos and the now infamous Easy Money shirt. He highlighted that Canelo looks like a man who's fully settled into the confidence that this fight with Crawford is going to happen. From the carefree bike rides to the subtle taunts, Showbiz sees it as Canelo embracing the moment and mentally locking in on what he views as an inevitable clash.
I did see this. So Canelo Alvarez, that brother out here with a shirt on saying easy money, bruh. Easy money. And you see him on a motorcycle and everything, having a good time. It seems as though he's settled in the confidence that this fight is going to happen. You saw that he already has the interview with Morgan, and we heard Easy Money before. He's wearing a t-shirt, but first time we heard him say that in reference to Terence Crawford.
Despite Canelo's confidence, Showbiz made it clear that there's nothing easy about the fight for as long as it lasts. In his view, the matchup is destined to end in a stoppage, with Canelo breaking down and stopping Terence Crawford. Showbiz emphasized that he's going with the practical reality of the situation, acknowledging Crawford's skills, but pointing out how tough it would be for Bud to pull off the win against a bigger, stronger Canelo.
I have Canelo Alvarez winning. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I think it's going to be a good fight as long as it lasts, but I think it's going to be a TKO knockout. I think he's going to stop Terence Crawford. And the thing is, and I know people hate when I say that, but I have to go with the practicality of this. On this one, I have to go with the practicality. Now, if, like I said, Bud Crawford pulls this off, you got to understand how difficult it is for Bud Crawford to beat Saul Canelo Alvarez. How low of a probability that really is in real life. If he beats him, that means he's better than Canelo at 168. I have to go with the practicality of this. I'm going to put all my chips on Canelo Alvarez beating Bud Crawford. I probably won't put money on it. I may put money on knockout. I may put some money on the knockout. I got Canelo Alvarez knocking out Crawford.
On the subject of weight, Wade Plemons dismissed concerns that size will play a decisive role. He asserted that Crawford is filling out his frame well for the move up, and Canelo's size doesn't intimidate him. For Wade, the matchup remains about skill and execution rather than just physical advantages.
Yeah, if they hit 30 million to 60 million people watching this, that would be a massive number. Alvarez is boxing's top star. He will defend his 168-pound crown against Crawford, a fellow future Hall of Famer. Will climb 2 weight classes for the biggest challenge of his career. Again, I've talked about this. I don't think that the weight is going to be that big a difference. Maybe Terence fighting at that weight will make a difference to him personally, right? Like, it's just not going to feel the same, or it's going to be a little bit to maneuver. But Canelo is not, like, Canelo's size does not scare me if I'm a Terence Crawford fan, because I've seen both of them during fight weeks and out of fight weeks, and there isn't much of a size difference.
Showbiz, however, doubled down on his position, breaking down why he doesn't see Crawford pulling off a win against Canelo. He emphasized that Crawford has never campaigned at 168, and stepping up to face a powerhouse like Canelo is a completely different challenge. Showbiz noted that Crawford went the distance for the first time in 10 or 11 fights when he faced Israel Madrimov. He highlighted how Crawford struggled to push Madrimov off him physically, and with age now becoming a factor, Showbiz sees the odds stacked heavily against Crawford in a fight with Canelo Alvarez.
When he's 4 years Canelo Alvarez, a senior, that is so, I'm just talking about the practicality of this. He has never campaigned at 168. He's never campaigned at 160. And when he did campaign north of 147, it was the first time he's gone the distance in like 10, 11 fights when he fought Madrimov, and it was a very close fight. He won 115, 130. A lot of people think Madrimov won the fight. He really struggled pushing Madrimov back, using his strength and all the things that make him Terence Crawford. You may say it's the weight, you may say it's the age. I think it's a combination of both, and he's only going to get heavier, and he's only getting older to fight Canelo Alvarez, one of the greatest fighters of all time. It's not like he's just fighting a guy.
Echoing similar concerns, Oscar De La Hoya weighed in on the growing hype, pointing out the way the media is portraying the bout as the fight of the decade. From De La Hoya's perspective, that narrative is laughable. As both a former fighter and a boxing purist, he sees a massive size gap that can't be ignored. De La Hoya didn't hold back, noting that Crawford could not even physically back up a fighter like Madrimov, making the matchup with Canelo all the more unrealistic in his eyes.
I didn't realize you guys could be bought that easily. Now what the media is reporting, and it's circulating, is that Canelo Crawford is the biggest fight of the decade. I mean, to a purist and a fighter, it's laughable. Because you have Crawford jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, who's a natural light heavyweight. Crawford, who couldn't push back Madrimov. Life and death with Madrimov. What do you think Canelo's gonna do to him? Run him out of the ring.
And De La Hoya didn't stop there. He also took a shot at Dana White being arranged as the promoter for the showdown. De La Hoya found it just as laughable, pointing out that White has never truly been involved in the boxing world.
You know what's laughable also? Dana White being named the promoter of this fight, considering he's never been in the boxing space. Has no stable of boxers. He didn't negotiate shit. And is being handed this fight on a silver platter and called promoter. He's the trust fund baby of boxing. That's it. The trust fund baby of boxing. And get this, the fight will take place during the day on September 13th in Las Vegas.
Ultimately, in De La Hoya's view, Canelo is being made to fight during the day just so UFC Noche, airing on a different network, can take the prime evening slot. He questioned whether anyone involved truly cares about the fans or the overall viewership experience, suggesting the decision is driven purely by business interests.
During the day, so Canelo will fight during the day on Netflix just to accommodate UFC Noche later that evening on a different network. So does that mean this fight isn't important? Do they not give a fuck about the fans or viewership? Why is it that Canelo has to fight during the day on Mexican Independence Weekend? And UFC, with a roster of names I've never heard of, is going on prime time. Cinco de Mayo. He's fighting in Riyadh, and now he's fighting during the day on the biggest weekend in boxing.
According to De La Hoya, none of this seems to matter to Canelo anyway, implying that for the Mexican superstar, it's all about securing the biggest payday.
Yeah, Canelo will fight anywhere, anytime he's told, because he doesn't give a fuck. All he cares is about the money. Doesn't give a fuck about the fans, about tradition, the Mexican weekend tradition. Oh, and Dana. What, now you're turning your back on the UFC?
Turning to venue speculation, the Wade concept weighed in. According to Wade, while the broadcast partner, promoter, date, and city are all in place, the reason the venue hasn't been officially announced is that management is still working behind the scenes to negotiate a deal for Allegiant Stadium. Wade suggested that despite the push for a massive arena, there's also interest in securing a more traditional boxing setting that stays true to the sport's roots, creating the kind of atmosphere that suits a fight of this magnitude.
Now, something I'm not seeing so far is a venue, right? We know the date, we know the city, but we don't have the venue yet. And I think, speculating, because I don't have the answer, guess we'll find out, but I think it's because they're trying to negotiate or trying to find a way to get Allegiant Stadium. I have to think that. Although I don't know if anything's going on in T-Mobile Arena on that day. What if they try to get the Sphere? I mean, sure, that too. Part of me, though, wants to have it in a traditional boxing setting. You know, I don't know.
As the debate continues, Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of the legendary Muhammad Ali, shared his thoughts on the potential showdown. He noted that after Canelo's recent bout with William Skull, public perception seems to have shifted, with the odds now appearing much closer to a 50-50 fight. According to Walsh, Canelo's last performance helped the matchup gain even more attention.
Before Canelo's last fight, but then after Canelo's last fight, it seems like it's more 50-50 now. So everything is just the build up for that fight is just going to be absolutely magnetizing. Like that fight, it's garnered so much more buzz after Canelo's last fight, and Bud is Bud.
While he called Terence Crawford one of the greatest fighters in boxing history and admitted that Canelo is one of his personal favorites after meeting him a few times, Walsh said he has to roll with Team Bud. With a friendship and genuine belief in Crawford's abilities, Walsh expressed full confidence that Bud can accomplish anything he sets his mind to.
He's one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Have you sparred any of them?
I haven't sparred Bud yet. I haven't been in Canelo's camp. I've met Canelo a few times. I love Canelo's team. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. He's been my favorite fighter for the longest time. But you know, I have to be Team Bud because me and Bud are cool, and I have so much belief in Bud, and I know who he is as a fighter. He is one of the greats. So he could do anything you know, he wants. For Bud in particular, he's calm in everything he does, and that kind of calm is scary to watch because it shows experience. You can see that he's been doing this for decades. You can see it with his shadow boxing. You can see it. So that's what makes him great. And then I talked to Bud about stuff outside of the gym. You know, he's not a partier. He doesn't, you know, drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do any of that stuff. So I always am drawn to people like that because I respect that. In today's world, it's hard to stay away from, you know, that kind of stuff.
Echoing concerns about Canelo's motivations, Bob Arum didn't hold back when sounding off on Canelo Alvarez. Arum pointed out that in Canelo's last few fights, the Mexican star has shown that he's more focused on being a businessman than a true entertainer. In Arum's view, Canelo's priority seems to be cashing in those massive checks rather than delivering for the fans. However, Arum added that if Canelo actually shows up to fight, because Crawford always comes to fight, then this matchup could turn into something truly interesting.
Canelo has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman. He's not in there to entertain the public. He just takes the big check. But again, if Canelo really fights, because I think it's safe to say Terence always fights. He doesn't know anything else. So then it could be a very good, interesting fight. Who is Canelo? What Canelo is going to show up? The Canelo who's looking to cash a big check, or the Canelo that really wants to fight like a fighter? Now, the Canelo we've seen the last 2 years is not only boring, but doesn't really have an incentive to mix it up.
Furthermore, Anthony Durrell shared his take on the potential showdown, calling it a good fight that's sure to answer a lot of lingering questions. Durrell acknowledged that while Crawford has sparred bigger opponents before, doing it under the bright lights without headgear is a completely different challenge. Still, Durrell believes that if Crawford truly knows deep down that he can get the job done, then he's capable of pulling it off. When it comes to where he'd put his money, Durrell made it clear he'd back Terence Crawford.
Do you think, how do you think his fight with Crawford goes, Canelo?
I think it'd be a good fight. I think Crawford is coming up in weight. Everybody want to know how he's going to handle Canelo's power. I think Crawford has sparred bigger people, but not fought big people without a headgear. It's totally different sparring and fighting because you're going to feel that punch in fighting for sure. So we got to see how he handles it, but I think he'll handle it or he wouldn't be going up. I mean, it's Terence Crawford. If he know he can do it, he can do it. 100%.
If you had to put money on it, would you? Who would you put money on?
Terence Crawford. 100%. Yeah.
In addition, Stephen Edwards gave his stance on the potential clash, making it clear that he's been backing Terence Crawford from the very start. Edwards stated that he always leans toward Crawford in any fight, and this matchup is no different. In his view, Crawford will simply be too much for Canelo, and he's stood by that belief since the initial discussions about the bout began.
I always like Crawford. I always like Crawford in the fight. I think Crawford's gonna win.
He's gonna pull it off.
Yep.
You think it's gonna be like just, well, what's gonna be the
I just think he's just gonna be too much.
A lot of people are changing their opinion.
I always said it. I always said I like Crawford from the very beginning of the fight.
You think you can hurt him?
Yep. Anybody could be hurt in a fight. Canelo got a great chin though, but anybody could be hurt on any given night. Don't ever think a guy can't be hurt, man. Ever think some of the best chins I've ever seen have been clipped. Holyfield, Duran, you know, anybody can be clipped, man. Anybody could get hurt, anybody could go down. It can happen to anybody. Don't ever believe that.
As anticipation continues to build, one thing is clear. The potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has captured fans and analysts alike. Whether it's the allure of Saudi backing, debates over size and skill, or the sheer star power of both men, the boxing world is on edge, waiting to see if talk will finally turn into action. One way or another, this is a fight that no one will want to miss. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this potential mega fight. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think takes it, Canelo or Crawford?